Hello and welcome once again to TwoSun Tuesday. And today I have a very high numbered knife here. It's a Jelly Jerry design. That's a TS423. This one is quite a bit of a departure from what TwoSun has done before, in that these handles are not titanium, they are steel. They do have some weight relieving going on the inside. They've been milled out a decent amount, but this knife is heavy. That's kind of what you end up getting from it. That's also why you don't see a hardened steel insert. I didn't need it. And two, I hadn't realized it when I had first got this guy, but this is kind of a redo sort of thing. The blade is absolutely identical to the Monarch here. It's exactly the same shape. We got that same circular finger choil that's gone down in there. Luckily, they kept the plunge grind on there. Exact same length. The difference, though, is that the blade stock is a bit thinner on here. We got 3.4 millimeters compared to 4 on the Monarch here, which is also a Jelly Jerry design, by the way, just in case you were worried that someone ended up, taking things from another designer without asking or anything like that. Internal blade stop pin, as we can see on this. So there's. It essentially looks like they really did try to take the Monarch and then make it a much more affordable piece. This is in D2 steel here, whereas the Monarch, maybe they did some in D2 very, very early on, but virtually all of them that I've seen have been in M390, including the one that I have here. Something that I can tell is that the action on this thing isn't anywhere near as good as it is on my Monarch here. The detent is very, very crisp. The jimping on that backside of the blade, though, is it's different. As we can see, it has basically the same number of jimps, but in a smaller area, and it ends up being just a little bit pointy there. But yeah, because of just how much that detent is really there, this thing flies out with authority, which is pretty darn fun. And then we got, some frag pattern up top, and then some standard lines over there. I don't necessarily think they were going for a flag particular shape. I know Jelly Jerry's from Vietnam, so I really don't think that he would be attempting to pick up a little bit more of an American-style flag for some milling there. But it is kind of reminiscent of what I ended up seeing there. We do have an over-travel stop on this guy in basically a steel disc there instead of how they usually do it with the hardened steel insert. So it's still nice to see something like that there in case somebody does something stupid and tries to bend it way out of shape. Just like the Monarch, though, we don't have much in the way of lock bar access. There's a little tiny bit, and it's scalloped on both sides, so it's not too bad. But if you're wearing gloves, this might be a little bit difficult for you to end up dealing with. And let's go ahead and talk about that pocket clip. This is using kind of TwoSun's folded over deep carry sort of affair that they end up doing for their budget knives. And it's actually inset into the steel, so they do have a little patch for that, which is all right. Unfortunately, at least for me, it's quite uncomfortable. The hole is a little bit wider on here than it is on some others, and it just ends up grabbing me in the that meat kind of right in here in an uncomfortable way. It's not bad if I have kind of a relaxed saber grip sort of thing, but if I'm, really up there, whether I'm using the hammer grip or a saber grip, the pocket clip is a little bit uncomfortable. It's just kind of unfortunate because the pocket clip on the Monarch, which is a titanium milled one, ends up working much, much better. Much more comfortable in the hand there. But yeah, I mean overall, we can definitely see it's using that same shape. So it is different. Like I said, we got the different blade stock thickness and blade steel itself on this particular one here. But it is essentially designed to be a budget version of the Monarch here. The blade is still quite close up to the top there. I can reach it with my fingernail if I dig it in there. But because the blade stock thickness is much shorter on there, I don't really have any worries about any kind of a snaggletooth biting me as I'm reaching into my pocket or anything like that. And the blade tip, nicely in there. We have a couple of barrel spacers back here instead of a standoff, just to try to save a little bit of weight because this thing is already supremely heavy. But yeah, there's probably not a whole lot else I need to cover because I've already covered the Monarch, which is, like I said, the blade shape and geometry is exactly the same. The plunge grind there with that circular choil punch out is pretty darn good. The flipper tab, like I said, is just a little bit sharp, and it can feel that way if you're really kind of choked up on the blade. It can bite in a little bit more than this guy will, as this one has a little bit more of a relaxed curve to it. And yes, this one does not contain the detent ramp that the Monarch does, as we can see, much smoother as it's riding onto there. But that detent still right in that same exact kind of area there. Maybe just a touch earlier, I suppose, than Monarch. But yeah, there we go. So this thing was interesting. I didn't quite realize that it was essentially a more budget version of the Monarch. And between the two, I would definitely suggest you pick these guys up. They're quite a nice knife. Maybe not my absolute favorite Jelly Jerry out there of the TwoSuns, but it is quite a few other people's. I think OCD for EDC likes it quite a bit. I know Jared Neve really enjoys this particular knife quite a bit. And even for their kind of titanium M390 models, these guys are usually easy enough to find, between White Mountain Knives or through the Amazon seller Tangley. Both of them seem to have them, and they're fairly cheap comparatively. Maybe like 110 or 120 bucks, whereas some of the newer ones in the M390 or the other stuff are pushing up there now. The 150 mark, or probably somewhere right around there. But, if you don't have that kind of money, you can spend basically around half on this guy. I want to say I spent somewhere between like 45 and 55 on it. I don't remember exactly off the top of my head. But pretty interesting. We do have quite a bit of grip, though, due to the finish that we actually have on the steel, and then of course all the milling that's going on there that's creating the frag up front and the lines out the back there. But yeah, that pocket clip is just a little bit uncomfortable to me compared to the original, which is a little unfortunate. Let's see. How about if we do a little bit of measurements there. I already said the blade stock was 3.4 on this guy, which is a little bit thinner than most of the other stuff that we got from TwoSun. That's usually around the 3.8 to 4 millimeter range. There's the blade length there. We got 3.59 inches, or 91.1 or 2 millimeters for that blade length there, which is it's definitely a full-size knife. Let's see, what do we got for thickness on this guy? Yeah, basically 0.51, just a little bit under there, or about 13 millimeters wide there. So it is a little thinner than, of course, the Monarch here. So, if that's certainly something that's a little bit more important for some folks than others. But, yes. And let's see, how about the weight here? That's where this thing kind of runs into a bit of the downfall here. Where we have, 5.48 ounces, or 155 grams. Compared to the titanium one there, which is 4.7 to 4.71. Yeah. Lighter, larger, better blade steel. The blade steel is also thicker too, so you definitely have a lot of extra weight coming from those stainless steel handles there. I don't know exactly what kind of steel handles they end up using for them. Most of the time when they end up using steel liners, like we would have with like this guy here, this is what, the 312? Yeah, 312. More often than not, they're using 420J or 420J2 for the steel there. However, I don't think that's what they ended up using for these scales there. It doesn't feel or look quite like it, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not quite that quite a metallurgist or anything like that to be able to basically tell just by looking at something. But it does feel heavy for its size compared to what I've seen 420J2 being done with like a whole lot of I don't know, Mall Ninja weapons and stuff like that I used to sell back at my retail shop for entertainment purposes for the kiddies who are wandering around the mall and stuff like that. But yeah, it's it is a less expensive version of the Monarch. I can, I suppose I can do a couple of blade size comparisons, but like I said, I've already done a review on that guy there. So there's pair 2, there's pair 3. I'll pull out a couple of Benchmades here. We'll go with the full size Griptilian. Why not? We'll go with the Bug Out over the 940 there. So yeah, fairly full-size knife. Definitely full-size weight on this one. There we go. Let's go ahead and take a look on the inside. If you're not interested, feel free to go ahead and bounce out. It's not going to hurt my feelings none. Definitely consider these videos to be hopefully useful for someone to use as a reference, whether they're interested in picking up a knife or they're looking for any one particular thing on there. It is unfortunate that you do have to take this pocket clip off to get to this screw here, rather than it being just part of it. But that would push that that thing up a bit more, and that would unfortunately be even more uncomfortable as far as where it's placed. There we go. I will attempt to wiggle me through here. There we go. And yeah, we can see we do have quite a bit of milling going on the inside there for weight relief, even though this thing is still really, really heavy. Looks like I do maybe have like a little tiny bit of schmutz in there, but I use KPL heavy usually on that for these internal blade stop pins. And this one has a nice thick one, just like the Monarch does. Their standard set of ceramic bearings. This is a newer model, so the D-shaped pivot is keyed here on the show side rather than the lock bar side. Makes things a little easier to put back together. And we also have these barrel spacer guys here who are a little bit inset into the steel there. Looks like I have a number 4 kind of engraved onto there. I don't see a matching one over on that side. Oh, that's fine. That's more or less manufacturing numbers. That doesn't mean that this was the 4th one off the line or anything super crazy like that. But, these barrels spacer guys just basically go over the standard Chicago screws, which is kind of how shoot, I don't remember the name of it. It's one that I've had problems with blade wrap that from Mazwan Mokhtar before. I think it was the 304. That might have been it. Also, we don't have the bearing race on the inside there. We just have that milled out of steel. Makes sense because you don't really need to worry about that on those. But yeah, still pretty straightforward to take them apart and put them back together. Here's wrist cam in case you guys missed that. But yeah, like I said at the beginning, it would be nice if you didn't have to take the pocket clip off to deal with that. But their hardware is pretty good. I haven't really ended up stripping out any of their stuff before. And this is screwing into really, really strong stainless steel. So it's quite robust. It's not something that I would worry about wearing out over time. That and you generally don't need to disassemble a knife all that often anyway. I do kind of wish that these screws for the pocket clip were flush with it as well, but it's not something they've done for any of their other deep carry clips on their budget models, so I couldn't imagine they would change that up with this one here. But yeah, there you go. Overall, it's a pretty interesting knife. If you got, I don't know, somewhere around 50 bones to spend, but if you got maybe like 60 or 70 more, you can get, kind of what I would consider to be the real version of it that is just as slicey, has a better blade on it, and, titanium and carbon fiber works a little bit better and quite a bit lighter than this guy here in stainless steel. But alrighty, there we go. That is the TS423. As always, I appreciate y'all for watching, and have yourself a wonderful rest of your day. Yo.